Are you playing the new F5 or the old F5?
Read the bell cover.
Let's see here. It says Walter K. Bauer. That's the new one, or the old one, the other one.
This mandolin sounds exactly like Monroe's mandolin.
Wow, no kidding. Hey, David, have you got your original sound on? Cause I don't want to miss a note.
Now it is.
Please keep going. That's awesome. Unless you want to tell the students
You know that tune, don't you?
about what you're playing, about this new
That
mandolin.
is Bill Monroe's Frog on the Lily Pad.
Ribbit. Wow, that sounds great. Would you tell the students a little bit about where that mandolin came from? So
Where
this
the
isn't
mandolin
David's.
came from?
Yeah, this isn't David's lore. It's another lore.
This is this one is actually made in 1923. It's a July 9th period mandolin, just like Monroe's. It's an identical peg head to Monroe's
Yeah.
with the white, black, white binding on the side of the peg head. And it sounds just like Monroe's mandolin to me, only a little better, actually, a little louder than Monroe's mandolin. And it belonged to a famous early 20s mandolin and banjo star named Walter K. Bauer.
Hmm.
He was born in 1899, and he was famous child silent movie actor in the early 20th century.
Wow.
And then when he was a teenager, he became a stringed instrument star, vaudeville star, and was an endorser. He was actually the top endorser for Gibson when Lohr mandolins were being made. So
Wow.
he's pictured in all the Lohr catalogs and the magazines of the period. And this was given to him by Lloyd Lohr himself. Lloyd Lohr and Walter K. Bauer were performing contemporaries, and they were personal friends. And there's absolutely no doubt that this was a shop mandolin that Lloyd Lohr himself played around. It was given to Walter K. Bauer, and he toured the world with it in the mid 20s and kept it his entire life. And he actually died in 1997, and I knew him very well.
Wow.
So he lived to be he was like 98 years old when he died. And a friend of mine ended up with it, who suddenly died this month on January 17th. And his family had delivered this mandolin to me to enjoy.
And
It
potentially find a new
unfortunately
home
is
for.
just
So
a used old piece of junk.
if any of y'all have about six figures, you can take it home with you.
You need one of those new Gibson mandolins like Wyatt just got.
You know, this thing is very pathetic because it's used. But also, notice there is no pick wear anywhere on the mandolin.
That is super clean. Unusual.
And because Walter K. Bauer always played with a pick guard, and I have the pick guard too. I just took it off.
Mhm.
And I also never ever touch the top of a mandolin or a guitar when I play. So when I play, I always have a.
It's so
So my
interesting that
hand, my
it's so
fingers
different
never
than the
never touch the
familiar
top.
tone that I'm used to hearing
I
from.
don't drag my fingers. I don't anchor my fingers. Do I don't do this when I play.
So I
And
was
if
just saying
anybody
that
ever does that to
David,
me,
I
they get
know.
a swift spanking. What'd
I
you
was
say,
just saying,
Chris?
yeah, I was saying that it's remarkably different than the way that your mandolin sounds.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
This one has some. This one has that Monroe crunch.
yeah, yeah, a little crunchier and not as dark. Um, but yeah, sounds great. And
It's
was
gorgeous. I mean, this is one of my. I've known about this mandolin for a long time. The first time I played it was in the 1970s, and it's one of my all-time favorite lures. I really wish that I could own the thing because it it sounds more like Monroe's mandolin than mine does. I love the sound of my mandolin. Mine's a really good one. Both of these are like among my top favorite five lures.
wow.
And if I could figure out a way to get it, I would get it. But there's just no way I can own the thing.
Somebody's gonna
But
get a good deal. A really good mandolin. Would you play the Tanyards for us on that mandolin?
no, I can't because unfortunately, I don't know it, and I haven't had time to study it and figure it out. So I'm actually going to learn it today while you all are demonstrating it.
No. Oh my goodness. No worries. Yeah. So,
And Mike Compton's coming in. Mike Compton's coming in this evening. Is that correct?
yeah, he's gonna come in about 6:30, I think, for about 15
Okay,
minutes.
cool.
Yeah. So we'll get to.
So unfortunately, when you took your vacation, I also took a hiatus from everything, and so I didn't get to send out the students any video of me playing it or slowing it down, and I haven't really. This is a tune. The Tanyards is a tune. I really don't know, and I never ever played this with Monroe. I've heard him play it, but I never have learned this tune. So this is a kind of an experiment for me, sitting in tonight and hearing what you all hearing. I listened to your brilliant uh, instructional video of this tune, Chris, and it sounds dead on exactly the way it should be. And I'm looking forward to learning how you and the students are going to play it tonight. So I'm just here I'm here to evaluate and assess. And if I tried to play it, I'd make a fool of myself because I honestly just don't know the tune.
Yeah. No worries. Let's. I, I, there's something funky going on with my Zoom interfacing with my microphone, so I can't plug my. I got back from being out of town, and like I can't use my microphone, my interface. I'm just using the built-in audio.
I hear you perfectly fine.
Yeah, yeah, it should be okay. But what I'm gonna do is usually when I play stuff, I play it through the interface. But I'm just gonna play something through the speakers, and it should be all right. I want to play a few little things before when we're getting started here. I was just like I was digging around. I was trying to find the original recording of the Tanyards that I had based the lesson off of and all that kind of stuff, and I couldn't find it. Um, but I did find some other interesting stuff, and so I want. So we got a small group, and so we'll have plenty of time for everybody to pick and everything. But I want to just play a few things. Now check this out. So this is a conversation where Monroe is talking to Grisman about tune evolution, and it's very profound. He calls out Vassar. So if you don't want to hear that, you might plug your ears on this one. But let's have a listen to this. I'll play a little bit and then I'll make sure everybody can hear it.
Now you going back to when Cable Turnpike started back when I first.
Can y'all hear that? No?
But that's where the pleasure. But now people like Vassar Clements is coming to picture. He's tried to change to make a jazz fiddle number out of it, and it don't.
Can y'all hear that? Yeah? Okay, cool. So he's talking about Vassar. I'm going to rewind it.
Vassar Clements is coming to picture, and he's tried to change it to make a jazz fiddle number out of it, and it don't work. It really hurts it, I think, for the fiddle players, and they're all following him. And it's really, they don't even play Patty on the Turnpike. Now that's, you can go on back, like Arthur Smith and Kissinger, from West Virginia. That's where they played it, and that was way back, man. Back in the 20s, like that.
Did everybody play everything the same way if the tune, or was there any room for improvisation?
They might not put the exact, but they keep the melody the same way. That's where some people changes it today. And I hate to see Arkansas Traveler made into a march or into a blues or something like that. It needs to stand the way the man wrote it because it's perfect. You couldn't do no better with it.
But when you're playing a fiddle tune like that, which is essentially a series of eighth notes, are you essentially just going down, up, or do you ever wind up going down, down between the strings, or up between them, you know?
Well, I go down a lot,
I go down a lot,
Well, in that style, but I mean, when you're just playing straight ahead in a fiddle tune like Patty on the Turnpike,
rhythm?
No, in your lead.
Down and up.
Down and up.
Yeah, just like the bow would go.
So anyway, I thought that's very interesting for a couple reasons. One, because he directly calls out Vassar Clements as the one who ruins bluegrass, in a way. Of course, Vassar's a genius, and just like probably a lot of the old time people called out Monroe for ruining old time, but it's also super hypocritical because Bill Monroe, think about the new Mule Skinner Blues. He took a Jimmy Rogers tune and supercharged it and did it completely different. It's not a blues at all. The way that Monroe's playing it, it's bluegrass. And so this is the dichotomy. It's the juxtaposition between Monroe's genius and it's well, it's okay for me to do it, but can't nobody else do it. It's kind of like both. That because there's truth in it. It's but you can't just you can't really call out. You say you can't be like Vassar, stop inventing this new form of music that people are going to love in the future that I'm not quite ready for. Really interesting.
Sometimes I doubt that when he's calling people out for saying ruining bluegrass or compromising bluegrass, I think a lot of that is show because really deep down, and he admitted quite often to people, including me, that he really appreciated and respected people that were on the cutting edge in experimental and improvisational music. He loved Vassar and often talked about how much he loved Vassar. And like that time I sat with Monroe, he and I were actually standing in the wings and watched that entire set of Tony Trischka and Skyline. And he loved that group and I said, how do you really feel about this? And I was expecting him to say, man, they're like ruining bluegrass music or something like that. But no, he said, man, these guys are really great. He said, I like the fact that they're doing their own thing.
Yeah. So. It could have a bit to do with audience and setting, and
And he said he added it ain't bluegrass.
Days. Right. So, and here I found a really cool tune that I had forgotten about. So let's have a little listen to this. This is probably a tune that maybe y'all haven't heard before.
Keep circling around now. Let's see. I'll get that a little bit.
That's all it is, but it's very similar to the Schottish, but you can just tell he could have write 50 tunes like that, probably one after another.
Now, if I'd been hanging out with Monroe when he did that, I said you're way overdoing the triplets.
Ease up on the triplets, Bill. Where's your 16th notes at? And then here's one called the Slow and Easy Blues. Check this out.
You can put on the other side the slow and easy blues.
Yeah, I know that one.
Just perfect. And it's like, the bluegrass blues, it sounds like all the rest of them, but it's unique in its own way. Okay, so this one.
That actually reminds me of myself doing the Monroe style back in the 80s. That was the stuff I was taking.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice flavor, really good. This one
That was
here,
cool.
the last one I'll play before playing the Tanyards, just Bill by himself. We'll look at that slow and fast. This says untitled new number in dressing room. Very exciting. This one's weird. It's cool.
I hear a new fellow that plays the guitar, some don't you? Mm-hmm. Here's a new number that I have, and I want to play it for you and see what you think about it. They don't have a title yet.
You don't have a title yet. Anyway, it keeps going, but that's a pretty cool tune that never heard before. It's a bit like I'm coming to the graveyard where they take them down the road. It's a little bit reminiscent of Memories of Mother and Dad.
That's pure blues too. That's
Oh,
like that reminds me of some of that. Just it's like right out of the blues guitar textbook of the 1930s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, strong stuff there. I'm trying to get my Dropbox open so I can deliver these files to y'all. I like to share these with y'all in the Dropbox, and then we'll get into the Tanyards here, slow and fast. I'm gonna see if I can put these in the old chatteroo. Let's have a listen to to the Tanyards slow. This is without me playing along. This is what I built the lesson off of. So let's have a listen here. Okay, let's just stop right there. just one of the things with Monroe and his tunes and everything, like you learn it and then you forget a little bit, and you go back and you remember, oh, that was that one note, all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I forget regularly about this is that he toggles between 2 and 3 on the A string, you know, quite a bit. He's not just bouncing off the third fret, and so I have a tendency to just play, you know, the third fret. What you hear there, you know. And so it's great improvising, you know, instead of just going, you know, each time, slight variations that you don't even really consciously hear all the time, but they're there. Let's keep listening.
You know what it sounds like to me?
Yeah.
Reminds me of that, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. To me, that, you know, these are all those A minor tunes. And welcome, Lauren Price.
Hey,
How are you, Lauren?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Hey,
You're doing some.
Hey.
Are you living up in
I didn't know
Kentucky?
you were going to be in here tonight.
Well, it was kind of last minute. One of my students told me about it a little bit ago, and I kind of just wanted to see
Just
what the
couldn't
discussion
resist,
was.
crashing the party.
I get. I don't know if I've ever crashed a party before, but maybe maybe kind of.
It's a lot of fun. I love hanging out here at these Chris Henry Zoom gatherings.
Yeah, well, this is one of my favorite tunes too, so I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about it.
We're happy to have you here, Lauren. We
Thank
just
you.
we started out playing some conversation between Grisman and Monroe. He was talking about you know, he was kind of making some disparaging comments about Vassar Clements, you know, in the sense that where he took Patty on Turnpike and then he turned it into what he called jazz, which is what we call like modern bluegrass. He had all the fiddlers that they're just following him right there, and then David was just, you know, kind of, you know, contrasting that with, you know, you know, his experience with Bill, being very appreciative of the progressive players, you know, different moments, but you know, just depending on who the audience was, you might hear different things. But you know, he's got a point. And then I was saying that, you know, it's you know, he's got a point, but he's also completely hypocritical, because he would take a song like, you know, Mule Skinner Blues and completely renovate it, and he was probably, the old timers were probably saying the exact same. Oh, Bill's ruining old time. There he goes. He's playing so fast, and why don't you stop that before you put me out of a job and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm putting these files in the chat. They're all coming in here. We played some rare stuff, the slow and easy blues. There was a number from the dressing room that was untitled, really cool. Kind of sounded like Memories of Mother and Dad, and David said it sounded like, you know, textbook blues from the 30s. Anyway, so I just put 6 files in the Dropbox. If you all want to grab those, you're welcome to them. We're just looking at this recording of Bill playing the Tanyards slowly, and I was just talking about, you know, of course this is like a super melody. It's straight ahead melody the whole time. He's not really taken off from it too much, and just this one, you know, one example of just, you know, how he's just slight variations, you know, on the first line. So he's going 3-2-3 open, and then the other times he's alternating that with. And then David was saying how much it sounds like, you know, Old Dangerfield, which is so that's the recap. That's what we've done so far, and so, like, to me, and I was thinking about this, and you think about, you know, Old Dangerfield, the Tanyards, Land of Lincoln, you know, Ebenezer Scrooge to a degree, like epic, you know, 3-4 part tunes and all that kind of stuff. To me, they a lot of them, you know, descend like tonally, vibe wise from, you know, which is, you know, this great old time tune, you know, and that's, you know, that was way older. So he's just reversing that, and then coming back. You know, so he's writing, you know, it's all kind of descended from this grandfather tune, Dusty Miller, in a way. You know, of course, this is a lot, you know, more expansive than Dusty Miller, but the vibes, the A minor stuff. So just continue. We're just kind of listening through this recording slowly. So here we go. And to me, the coolest part about this, I had learned this like this. You know, that's kind of generally how it's, when people play it, which is very seldom. It's usually kind of like that. But we can clearly hear Bill hitting the open D. Like that. Let's just cue into that again. And boo-doo-little-doo-doo-do. So it's boo-boo-ba-boo-boo-boo. Really cool. He's putting a little syncopated thing in there. So it's not. He's putting that little syncopated thing in. Very cool. And then that line right there, it just is about my favorite, because he's just like he's not going up to the D, the second fret of the D. The second time he's just chugging. And so almost always when you hear this tune played, it's like, it's basically the same thing. But that's not what Bill's playing there. On the second line, he's just going. He's not going up the second. He's not going up the D string. He's going. Let's have another listen to that. Very cool. Second line. He has it. He might be playing the fifth fret of the G, the second end. Very cool. And yeah, so and on the end of the second line, he's doing the da, 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 which is his first ending, and then the second ending is different. And you can hear there again, he's not going on the second and fourth line. So right there, and instead of going, he's going, just slight variations, but that's, that's nice balance. And I love that right there. So, a lot of times my ear would want to hear it. But he's going from the second fret, sliding right back into the fifth fret, up to the seventh fret in the E. And this next line, really cool hammer on it. Here comes William. Welcome, William. We've talking, sharing some rare recordings. It's all on the drop. It's all in the chat. Anyway, we're going through the tune right now. Slowly. There we go. Let's listen to that move one more time, beginning of the third part. You can really hear that pull, that hammer on there. So this, all this is like sneaky business that, it's just like when it's going by so fast, it's just like, it just all kind of all glosses together, but then you slow it down, it's like, oh, jeepers, come on now, how crafty is that? And then how he's getting it, da-da-la-da-dum-bum. Just so nice. And then the second time he drops down to the open A. So the first time, second time, and he's not even thinking about it, probably. Maybe he is. Who knows? I don't know. And the second time he doesn't do the hammer on there. Nice, simple variation. Sometimes taking something out. And then so the last time, really crunching on that 51 double stop out of the chord. Now right there, let's talk about that. Most of the time when you hear this tune played, it doesn't do that. Let's see. you almost never hear anybody go down the open D string, but there he does it right there. Da, 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 all the way down to the D, and I even put a D chord in the little recording I did. I think it sounds really cool. Right there. Da, 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 da. Maybe it's a mistake, maybe it's not. Super cool. And that third line there. Super cool. It's an upstroke pull off from 3 to 2 on the A string. It's pretty tricky, you know, and this is slow. You know, he's going so fast. And then I love his last line because he's using the F sharp. He's using the, you know, the 4th fret of the D instead of the 5th fret. You know, instead of, and the line is not, which is what you'd expect. You know, the phrasing's different and the harmonic content is different. And that super cool. So that's some really cool stuff. Here comes Mike Compton. All right. Good evening, Mike. How's it going, man? How are you?
I'm clean. I had a shower today.
Nice. Yeah, today was shower day for me too.
Hey, wait a minute. I didn't know you were letting Mike in tonight.
I barged in.
Oh, we gotta have Mike for the Tanyards. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Really
You're welcome. I appreciate the invite.
Do you remember the first time you heard this tune?
I used to play this tune with your uncle, John.
Okay,
yeah. Well, your daddy's uncle.
Yeah, that's right.
Your great uncle, John Hedgecoth, and Dan Mills, who used to work for George Gruen, stout redheaded fellow, played mandolins for a while. They used to come over to my apartment on weekends, and we'd gang up and smoke a bunch of Camel cigarettes and drink beer and try to learn how to play Monroe tunes.
That sounds great.
It was.
That reminds me of the time you would roll me your own homemade cigarettes. I used to love those things.
I did too.
I'm not even a smoker, but you rolled a good cigarette.
Used to. Oh, it's getting warm in here. I'm gonna take this hat off.
I remember hearing John play it. He used to put an interesting pause in the rhythm, like around the chimes or something like that. Was this something that who learned it from Bill? I guess somebody had to learn it from. Was James Bryant in the picture on that one?
No, I think one of the first versions of it I heard was from John, and there was a different version of it that was going around before the chimes got there.
Okay.
And so that's actually I don't know if you'd call it an improvement, but it's a later version.
Interesting.
And that it's just in that one part. I never figured out what he was doing because it didn't seem like it didn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, and so I couldn't figure out what to do.
Wow. That's so cool. Yeah. So a little bit of a mysterious genesis on the old Tanyards.
Yeah, it was. But it's always, from the first time I heard it, it's always been one of the ones that I like the best.
Yeah. Would you? I mean, we talked a little bit about what it's similar to, and of course it's got similar to Old Dangerfield, and I was kind of thinking that in a way it kind of descends from tonality wise, like Dusty Miller, and with that the strong A minor kind of thing happening there. Would you connect it kind of to that in the old time way?
Yeah, I would. It's sort of a major minor kind of sound, and minor notes over major chords. That whole series of stuff from Land of Lincoln and Golden West and Lonesome Old Farmer and all of that stuff that came around I jokingly used to call it the old lonesome period because all the tunes were either had the word lonesome or old or both in the title.
The old lonesome period. Well, no, great. It's like, he really hit that stride and it's just like milked the well.
Yeah, yeah. They all came out of the same bunch. It seemed like that went on for 10 or 12 years.
And this was all post Last Days on Earth period.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Monroe telling me that he thought that his, I get what was it, Master Bluegrass album. He thought that was going to be his last chance at a real good solo album, and he felt like that album was his last days on Earth. And then he went through his old lonesome period.
Well, it's kind of grim, isn't it? Yeah. All of those tunes, Chris, all of those things sound like they came from the same vocabulary. To me, it are, like he could have sat down and wrote all of those over the course of a weekend or two, because that was just what was running through his head. But yeah, he definitely got into a thing right there and just looked for everything that he could find in there.
Yeah, and it's like they're all very similar, but I guess just like a lot of the blues stuff, it's like they definitely all very, very unique.
I think so.
And unique enough that, I wonder sometimes like how many tunes out of like so many was he like, okay, this one's special enough? It's like, was it like 1 in 5 or like 1 in 10? That he would bring to the band. Do you know if he played this one with the band?
I've never known him to. I've never heard that he did.
I heard that in the recording of Grounded Center and Focused, I can't remember, maybe it's Michelle Putnam that mentioned it, that said Bill asked you to play the lead part on the Tanyards, and you, like, deferringly, respectfully were like, do you think so? And Bill was like, I know so.
He did. He didn't quite remember it, and he didn't want to do it.
Oh, wow.
And I had found myself in that session sitting basically just right in front of him, because Butch put me there so that maybe if Bill couldn't remember some of this stuff, I could remind him how they went. Wow. And but that was probably the best education about the right hand style that he was using at that current time, because I had to play a couple of twins with him, and it was just okay, as long as that matched, for down up, and the feel, the way that he was playing it, I kind of could just play 2-finger chords and move it around and play harmonies to him, because his melody lines weren't that complex at that point.
I think your harmony, you're one of the rare few folks that plays harmony Monroe style. I just love to hear you play harmony on the it's some people with that chip in their brain. It doesn't seem too hard, but like
on your shoulder. The chip on my shoulder.
but to hear like Monroe style played in harmony, I just think that's an amazing thing. Very, very rare. But I guess it's a little bit like singing, like when you get with someone, tonally you're trying to blend into what they're doing, and you might not.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be that easy to do until you're like right there within their like aura, and you can.
Yeah, well, I think those style kinds of notes matched his melodies better, just for the blue aspect of it, and just the quirky kind of thing. That it sounds right to me, but I had more than a couple of people tell me that the notes I was playing is wrong, but I don't care because that's what I like.
Yeah, they sound right to me. Would you mind playing for us the Tanyards?
I'll give it a go. Let me see here. I've been strung out on this F4 for about the last month and a half, so I'm just going to play it.
Nice.
Let me see if I can. My fingers so dry.
Oh yeah.
Is it too loud? I'll be back up a little bit.
Not for my taste.
Well, I don't want to be overloading the speakers.
No, it's
Lauren plays the fire out of it too. She liked to wear me to a nub at Spigma last year.
I saw that video. That's so great.
Dad, gum.
That's been a little while ago, though. But
You ought to get out more. We all should. All right, let me see if I can play this. I've always had trouble this slide up to the chime. I might show you that version of it that John played too.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
And got some variations. I just ran up on something before I signed on here that I thought you might like in particular. So I'll try to just breeze through all this so y'all can make some progress.
Love it.
Like that.
Woo!
Yeah,
Love it.
it was amazing.
I don't know, that's it's just the older I get, that gives me fits more and more all the time. Now if I could do it now.
Yeah, that's so great. One of my favorite things that happens in there is like, I mean, it's a dynamic melody, but then he's kind of like pairing that with these like super understated lines, like when you I say, let's see where I'm gonna try to what am I doing? What am I trying to do? Oh yeah. Yeah, no, just taking that fifth fret out, just right up to the second fret. It's like you could play a bunch of notes. That's cool. I love that.
That's one of the things that I like about that tune. It goes all the way down to the end. You get to the third part and it gets all major and bright and everything, and you think, well, he got it made, and then it drags him right back.
Still lonesome.
You get the home bass lick at the end. Da, da, da. It's got to be dark at the end.
Right. So it gets a little playful. Then it's like, oh, gray skies again.
Oh no, you don't.
Guess what? Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
I just want to make a comment that the students need to look at this guy's right and left handed. That is like one of the greatest right hands on the planet right there. And your left hand, it does all these sensual, you're known for this, Mike, and you probably know it. Everybody talks to you about it, I'm sure. My students are always coming to me, how does Mike do that left hand, those sensual bluesy slides all up and down the neck like that? It almost looks like you have no idea where you're going. Your hand's like slithering up and down the neck all the time.
It's that.
How do you do that? That's amazing.
Well, it's I started doing that after I got Bill's record that had Lucky Lady on it and had that da 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 da, and it just felt like, yeah, man, I want to do that. But it was that song and that one lick in that place in that song that it just couldn't get out of my head.
It's
But
calling to you.
some of the string banders, the white folks and the black folks used to use it quite a bit with tremolo, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. If you look at like country blues, some of those players were phenomenal technicians, and I know Monroe was bound to have heard some of them because he lived in the same part of the country as some of the bands, although he denied it to me. I asked him as specific people that he had ever heard it. He said, no, sir. And looked around.
That's so funny.
That variation that John played goes on.
Wow.
And then it goes. I Like Not to Never figured that out.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's half of that.
Wow. That is so unusual.
That's a mighty powerful sounding mandolin too. Is that a Gilchrist F4 kind of a thing?
It is.
John said he was getting a new Gilchrist. Have you talked to John Hedgecoff lately?
No. Oh, well, he did. He called me Sunday, I believe.
Did he say anything about his new mandolin? Did he get it?
He didn't say anything about it.
Okay, I haven't talked to him.
Rascal.
Wow. I'm trying to get him online again, but he's a bit of a Luddite.
Yeah. Well, it took me 2 phone calls. Let's see. Now this part here, I played this wrong for years, and one night at the Bell Cove, where Bill used to go with Julia, the bar they used to hang out in, I was there watching Larry Cordell play, and Julia came over and said, "Do you have your mandolin? Bill's trying to remember Tanyards, and he can't remember how it goes."
Wow.
So I got my mandolin.
Show me my tune.
Yeah. So I went out. I said, "Well, Julia, I don't know it exactly right." And she said, "It don't matter if you could just kind of help him get it back in his mind. That's all I want to do." So I went and got my mandolin, and he was tuned high as a cat's back. And I tuned up to get with him and play it. And I played it through, and I played it wrong. And I said, "Will that be all?" He said, "That's fine." And then I went and sat back down, and 5 minutes later, she came back, and she said, "Would you get your mandolin back out and come over there?" And I looked, and Bill was just sitting there noodling, playing. And I said, "Okay," reluctantly. I thought I had got away with it. And got my mandolin out, and I said, "Do you want to start?" He said, "No, you go first." And so I played it. Wrong notes and everything, and then whenever it got his turn, he took off into it like he was 30 years old. I mean, it was just like da 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 da, and just laid my ears back, you know.
Wow.
And
came back.
he didn't look at me the first time until he got to the part where I was playing it wrong. You know. And looked up at me until he got through that part, and he looked back down and finished it.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, I see how this is going to be.
What a Monroe-ment.
Yeah, Monroe-ment. That's a good term. Anyway, this I showed this to Wyatt earlier today, and this part. Monroe's hornpipe lick works here. And then follow it with that Kenny Baker line. And finish it out.
Yeah, and that Baker line, is that coming from Land of Lincoln? Sounds a bit like it.
Yeah.
That's so great. So yeah, super playful and then just like dark.
This other thing, now you might not, y'all might call foul on me for doing this. There's a recording of Monroe plays this D from there instead of a G chord.
Nice.
Instead of this.
Yeah.
Second time around. Let's see, is it right?
Whoa.
Down to F. And then progress down to E.
Cool. Wow. Yeah, and cool. Yeah, great resolution.
That's all I got.
That's that's a lot. That's a lot. That's cool. So for all the students, just thinking about, improvising. Of course, he's writing as he's he's coming, he's creating all this stuff, but he's not locked into one thing, and just just how different that is. Like changing the chords completely, changing the the tonality, the vibe. Sticking an F chord in there. Those are pretty significant. Creative, compositional or improvising, decisions that can help us think a little bit more outside the box. It's easy to kind of get glued into kind of one way of thinking about it, but of course Bill was a bit fluid with it. It might change from day to day and minute to minute. Any questions for Mike? I know he said he might. Wayne, let's go to Wayne. Trying to get you unmuted here, partner. There we go.
Okay. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us again.
You're welcome.
I was doing some research on this song, and they said that the record company discouraged Monroe, or Monroe felt that they were discouraging him from putting too many instrumentals on his releases. Do you think we were kind of gypped out of some of his other really fine tunes because they wanted vocals or something? I mean, I wonder if we could have had another Masters of Bluegrass,
Well, he had enough tunes for sure. I don't know. There's deep closet Monroe fans know. I mean, there's at least 2 more records full of stuff. I mean, I've cut one that I can't seem to put out because I can't get permission from. They can't find out who owns the tunes. So I've got a whole thing of some stuff that was in a record years ago that started out being the lost tunes of Monroe, and I know Chris has cut some of them, and Skip Gorman has cut some of them. I just cut a whole record full of them that I can't release because I can't get first use mechanical licenses for them. So yep. Usually, if you're playing instrumentals primarily for people who play. People tend to want songs, and that's what the record company was getting at. Do some songs. People don't want to hear you play only old tunes. Yeah. To answer your question, yes, I think we've been cheated out of some stuff, but that just leaves them for us to do.
Thank you.
So Mike, I just have I just think that's just one of the worst things in the world to put your heart and soul into an album that people want to hear, and then because of legalities, and you know what would happen if you just put it out? Could they come at some point and be like, okay, you owe me like $500, or be like, well, I didn't know who to pay, so here's your money, and like, can we go?
500,000 if they own them.
Oh, so they could like ask for a whole bunch of money, like way more than is reasonable.
Well, it's legally, mechanical licenses are negotiated rates.
Okay, right, yeah.
Everybody takes pretty much the same rate, but they can dictate whatever rate they want.
Okay.
And if I put them out without getting permission and paying that rate, they could come back later on and charge me anything they want to.
Oh gosh, that's such a bummer. I just hate that, and this is such a typical music business like conundrum. It's like,
Well, plain and simple, what it is. There's paperwork supposedly out from the sale of Monroe's catalog to a major corporation here in town that says that they own everything in Monroe's catalog plus anything that appears on the horizon that they didn't know about.
oh wow.
Which includes all this whole. I mean, there's at least 2 dozen, almost 3 dozen tunes of Bill's floating around that nobody's ever cut.
Mm-hmm.
That they know of.
Yeah. All right.
So there's still a bunch of really good stuff there, and then they show up every once in a while. They'll filter in every so often with another one, but it's not something that's going to make them a lot of money like country records, so they don't care.
Right. I was trying to talk with BMG in New York about getting licenses for. I sent them one contract. They didn't even like respond. I was like, okay, I tried.
Well, they say that they don't own the tunes. They don't recognize them. They don't own them. But I talked to the fellow that sold them all the tunes that said he had the paperwork in front of him that said that they owned them.
Wow, that's complicated.
That's why I would say that it's a matter of them just not. We're such small fish in the pond that it doesn't matter. They're not going to pay any attention to us. So
right, that's what I figured. I figured I'd just try to keep slipping through the cracks.
well, I'm getting ready to go there myself.
Yay! Awesome. I love to hear that. Any more questions for Mike?
I'm sorry I'm talking so much.
No, I appreciate it.
I didn't used to be like this.
I certainly appreciate it. Anybody else want to ask any questions to the maestro? Josh.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, man.
How are you?
All right.
How many sources for Tanyards of Monroe playing it? I mean, there's like whatever bus tape or whatever it is. Are there many recordings of him actually playing it?
No, sir.
So the only actual source other than people's memories is that one. Is there one recording?
I think I've got another fragment. I'm not for sure, but seems like I remember there being another one that just had bits and pieces of stuff on it and little variations. That like what Chris was playing earlier. Little variations through the body of the tune. But really, most of what I learned about that tune was from watching Bill play it, and that's it. That's all there is. So it's enough. I mean, there's a real complex tune with subtle changes in it that can be made. But you can play Bill's notes and make a few chord substitutions and come up with something that's got a little bit different flavor to it without stomping on the Bill's tradition too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a rare tune, and it's not like you're gonna go to a jam. I'm gonna go to a jam, and someone's gonna be like, "Oh, let's play Tanyards,"
Right.
It's not gonna happen.
Maybe I'm going to the wrong jams. I feel like I don't know. 20% of the people that know this song are on the Zoom call.
Well, that's true.
Underestimating.
That's true, and most all the people that are on this call that know the tune have taught at the Monroe camp too. So that may be the only place you're going to find it.
True.
which is the reason for the gap.
Yeah. Well, so if you know, I think you just nailed it there, like about, you know, not stepping on the tune, and, you know, kind of learning the lines, and then, you know, trying to, you know, stay within some, you know, respect for it. Any other thoughts, kind of just about the general ethos, or the, you know, about approaching it? I think anybody that was listening probably heard what they needed to hear.
No, I have taken to playing it kind of like I like it, or the way that I can get through it, and you know, making it mine, because it's something that I don't ever hear anybody play. So when I play it for me, I play it for me. I play it the way I want to.
I really like how you do the phrasing in the first part. You like kind of put some like eighth notes. You know,
Well,
nice.
There's all that I was mentioned to Wyatt earlier. It just, the tune just has parts in it that just sound like it's just rolling.
Yeah, it's
and that one, I got to listening to him play this, and I realized that I was overplaying almost all of it. But it's there's an accent right there. And you just do the rest of it with a pig.
Nice.
So it's that business. And this is,
yeah.
If you don't have to pick your fingers up, don't pick them up, leave them down, because you're going to play something cool before you know it.
Nice. I love that. Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks, folks. Thanks for putting up with me talking so much. I apologize. Now y'all can get some work done.
No, and we look forward to having you back. Maybe in February with the new Monroe lineage. I'll be in touch on, and we're gonna hopefully
be happy to. I'd say bye to David, but he's given up.
Have a great night, Mike. Thank you so much, man. We'll do it.
Y'all do good.
Thanks. Back at you. Cheers.